Hello friends, and welcome to today's video. While BeatNote is still new to many of you, the reality is BeatNote actually turns 1 this weekend, or today, or somewhere around when this video is being posted. And with the 1-year anniversary of the release of BeatNote, I thought it would be fun to dial the time machine back a little bit and see where did we start a year ago and show where we are now, how far we've come, what we've added to BeatNote, and the features and functionality that BeatNote now provides compared to the initial release. Okay, so it's not easy, but I figured out how to install the original version of BeatNote on here, and so we're going to take a look at it now. This is what you saw on the My Beat screen when you launched BeatNote. We've got this giant create new beat button at the top, and we've got the list of beats here. This hasn't changed much even now. We've got 2 beats here, got some preloaded beats so that you can see what is possible with the app. And I'm just going to tap here on the simple raw groove so that we can open that up. And here we have the only screen that enables you to practice and edit beats together in this first version. The bottom right-hand corner has the play button, so we do have some playback. But even when we hit the play button, you'll notice there is no playhead. No playhead? Yeah, I know. I released the app without a playhead, and somebody commented on that too. And hey, if creating a playhead was so easy, I would have included it in the first one. So, no playhead, but we have the music here, and you'll see the music isn't necessarily formatted in the most beautiful way. Each measure has the time signature. There's a double bar line at the end of each measure. We can nitpick, but I won't get too far into that. You can long press on a measure, not very intuitive, to get the other options for creating a new measure before, after, delete, edit, duplicating, and deleting. And this was the basic screen for interacting with the beats. We do have a timer in the bottom corner, so the timer was there. And then of course, modifying your tempo, long press for increments of 10, and single tap to do increments of 1. If we wanted to create a new beat, let's create a new beat. Create a new beat, and we come into the grid view, which shows us that we can just tap or swipe onto the grid to add some notes. And this has largely not changed all that much. Although at the top of the screen, you'll see the play button here in the top left-hand corner. Changing the beat name required you to tap on it on this screen. Not very intuitive. Tempo controls, still the same here, measure 1 of 1, and save to save our beat. So of course we can duplicate this measure, we can delete a measure, we can add a measure at the end, and then pop into there and add in some new beats if we wanted to do that. Double tapping for accents like ghost notes was in here too, and so we could do accents on the hi-hats and create a simple beat here. We also could change the beaming style. Although not very visually appealing, it was possible to do. And from a beat editing perspective and playback perspective, this was the core experience that BeatNote offered. And it still had that ability for teachers. And at the time, I had teachers and still do have teachers who are using BeatNote with this visual editor grid to teach musical concepts such as dotted eighth notes and dotted eighth rests and things of that nature. So there was still a lot of value there that the app was able to provide, and the settings page was minimal, just had the ability to contact me and manage your subscription. And then you could share beats here by tapping the share button, creating a link and sending that link to a buddy. That experience, as you'll see later, has been vastly improved. And this is basically where we started with version 1 of BeatNote. A lot's happened over the course of the last year. Let's fire up the current version of BeatNote, see what's changed, and see how far we've come. Here we go. I have opened up on my iPad here the latest version of Beat Note. We're going to use the iPad today just to keep things simple. And starting on the My Beats screen here, mostly looking the same. The Create button has been bumped up into the top right-hand corner. You'll see there. We can pull down and search by a beat name here. So I can type in something to search by the name of the beat, which is really helpful when you've got a lot of content. But mostly the My Beats screen has stayed the same with the addition of the ability to easily tap the duplicate button to duplicate beat right with a single tap. And of course you can still delete beats. Most importantly though is the addition of the edit button here. And in the first version of Beat Note, the edit and practice screens, the user experience for both of these were combined into one screen. And so it seemed like the natural next step to create a separate experience for editing. So if I tap on the edit button for a beat, we now have a unique screen that's specific for editing. Each measure is kind of displayed in its own card, and you've got a triple dot button on each measure to access these actions that you can take, like adding a new measure before or after, duplicating a measure, or deleting a measure. And so that makes all of that much more accessible. Rearrange has also been added, so you can take measures, long tap on them, and drag them around so that you can rearrange the measures of your beat. And the name can now be edited here as well. You can also see the number of measures. The other thing that I really want to call your attention to are the controls at the top here. We've got playback, which is still accessible. The tempo control here, adjusting the tempo, still single taps or long taps for increments of 10. And a click track is now available within this screen. So it's not just the edit screen, however. When you tap on a beat, these controls are also going to swipe down, kind of pop down from the top, and have that same set of controls available across all of the screens. We also introduced the ability to practice a single measure specifically, so you can tap on a measure to open up that measure to focus just on that one measure, kind of like a repeat function for the measure. And again, the controls at the top, you'll see, maintain their consistency there as well. And even when we go into editing a measure, of course, naturally the grid and the alignment of the notes to the grid is essentially the same here as well, but we have that nice set of controls up at the top, giving you access to playback, tempo, and the click track. The other thing that I would like to highlight here is the playhead. Now, when you play back here, either on a single measure or when you're on the entire beat, the measure gets highlighted and the note that gets played gets highlighted as well, exactly in time as the audio is being sent. So this helps to give you that visual indicator. The playhead that was highly requested and missing in the first version of Beat Note is now included in all of these screens. Let's take a look at an actual groove and edit that groove. The original version of Beat Note was limited to only the hi-hat, the snare, and the kick drum. That said, we added the plus button to the edit measure screen, and now here you've got access to the crash, the ride bell, high, mid, floor toms, kick number 2, and the hi-hat foot. And as with many of the instruments, the number of articulations have also been expanded. So the hi-hat has accents, half open hi-hat, a fully open hi-hat, and diddles also available to it now. For the snare drum, besides the ghost note and the accent, there's also a diddle and a cross stick that has been added. And of course, additional articulations will be added in the future. You can check out the roadmap to see what other ones are being considered, and also ask for the ones that you would like to be added in the future. The other thing I would like to show, I think, is sticking. Because sticking was recently added, we're going to go into edit a measure, we're going to change the sticking, and the sticking screen allows for a variety of predefined stickings that you can tap to add immediately. So for this, I can just tap natural alternating. It's going to give right, left across the entire way. If you want to lead with your left hand, or if you are making a pattern that flips from the left hand to the right hand, there's an invert button you can tap to invert the sticking. It takes all the stickings that are there and inverts them. I would also like to highlight the download screen, which downloads, even though they've been in the app for a long time, hasn't been really clear how to use downloads. And so the vision with downloads is for people to make and share beats and content. And I'd like to highlight my buddy Zach, who is posting beats to YouTube every single day, which is super awesome. And he's also making his content available for download. So for example, we could go and click on one of his links, but I want to show you the whole process of how that might work. So we're going to take a groove here. I'm going to take my eighth note triplet accent tap grid 4/3 and tap on the export or the share button. I'm going to create a link to this by creating a link straight within BeatNote. Now it gives me the option. I have this downloaded beat. I can send it via airdrop. I can send it via messages, via mail, save it to Dropbox, send it to any of my friends via a messaging tool or whatever. I'm just going to copy this link. I'm going to open up a browser and I'm going to paste this link into the browser and say go. Now what we have is the beat name, eighth note triplet accent tap grid 4/3, 10 measures. You can see a preview of the first measure, kind of exactly how it would be displayed on the My Beat screen. There's a link to download BeatNote on the App Store, so we can tap that to go to the App Store if we need to download BeatNote, which we've already downloaded, so we don't need to do that. And then we can tap open in BeatNote, and this will open that beat directly into the downloads for BeatNote. And so anybody you share this link with can open up this download onto their version of the app, and they have access to the playback, tempo, timer, click track, all of the practice features and functionality, and tap on a specific measure to get into that measure, practice that measure, and you can make a copy of this to your own beats. And so now that I've made a copy of it to my beats, I can edit that beat, and I can maybe add to it, change things around, get creative, and see what I want to do with it. So the vision here is that beats can be shared. If you're a teacher, you can share beats with your students. If you are a content creator, you can share beats with your audience. And at the current time, yes, there's only an Apple, iPhone, iPad version of the app released in the App Store. However, Google Android and a web app are hopefully in the works in the future. Each platform needs to be built, most of the time from scratch, and it's going to take a little bit of time. So please give me a little bit more time to get the Android version and a web version out there so that everybody can have access to the content that's in BeatNote. Everybody can download the beats that are available there and have access to the features for practicing and supporting your musical development right from within the app. I think that's about it. As far as the major highlights, you can find all of the details of all of the minor highlights in the version history. I encourage you to take a look at that. I always update the version history every time a new version is released, and so you can see exactly what's going into each version. There are a bunch of features that have been requested. Take a look at the roadmap and leave your feedback. Let me know what's important to you, vote on the features that you want to see, and add any new ones that aren't already there. What will the next year bring for BeatNote? I'm not entirely sure. So from here on to the next year, we're going to build upon this foundation. A lot of it's going to be based on the feedback I get from you. So leave your feedback. Let me know how your experience is with BeatNote. Let me know if it's intuitive. Let me know if it's helping you, making your life simpler, helping you grow as a musician, helping you teach your students, helping you inspire your followers. Let me know how it's going so that we can make sure BeatNote is evolving to match your needs. Thanks for joining me on this video, on this journey. Thank you for the past year. Thanks to everybody who is supporting BeatNote. Tons of gratitude and appreciation. I can't wait to see what the next year has to come, and I'll see you in the next video.